Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose Naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. This show is sponsored by our members who made donations. We'd like to give them a very big thank you. We have to cover the monthly costs of the radio station's software, bandwidth, phone lines and phone calls to be able to continue with the radio show. And thank you for listening. Today I'm joined by Leesa from the United States, who takes LDN for hypothyroidism and other conditions. Thank you for joining me, Leesa.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us, how old were you when you had thyroid problems?
The doctors found my thyroid problems when I was 21, and I am now 36. So I've been struggling with this for, well over a decade. So just trying to get my thyroid. I have hypo, which is for low active thyroid, and trying to get it situated with medication. And on top of the hypothyroidism, I produced autoimmune that we were trying to find out what was going on with the autoimmune, and never could really pinpoint the autoimmune through multiple different specialists and doctors that I continue to go to.
Mm-hmm. And before we started, you were telling me about your other health issues. Would you like to tell the listeners about that as well?
Okay. So when my thyroid continued to be low, causing, different body aches, different problems, weight gain, hair loss, sleeping, lack of sleep, I would get on different medications, and it would make my thyroid go up to where it would go into hyperthyroidism. And then I would have the reverse, where I could not sleep, lost weight. And so it was just kind of a yo-yo effect going back and forth on doing that. So it produced other problems with, I produce Epstein-Barr, which is a type of autoimmune that stems from another autoimmune that they still was, that they were trying to figure out that was in my lymphatic system. Mm-hmm. So the Epstein-Barr is like a form of mono that you just feel lethargic all the time. Your serotonin levels are really bad. Trying to get up in the morning's a task. The more tasks you have to do to, during the day, they call it a fight or flight mechanism that produces through not having the correct pituitary gland problems with your thyroid not being produced. So your thyroid usually does not have a problem. It usually is something else in your body that reacts to that and attacks your thyroid. So all of that being said, I'm very active. A mother of two. I'm a massage therapist, and so I really try to go the natural route. So that is why I started really working with our pharmacy on trying to figure out what I could do on a natural level on my thyroid, and trying to figure out how to treat the Epstein-Barr, which is a very there's usually not a way to treat Epstein-Barr. It just has to run its course, and it can go up to 2 years in your system.
Mm-hmm. And you were saying about a mass that you had and how that affected your voice box.
Yes, so I had a cyst that turned into a mass. So I had a cyst that was inside, a hard cyst that was inside of a liquid mass that continued to grow. And so some mornings I'd wake up and I wouldn't have a voice. And if my voice came back, it would be very low. I would go to eat something and I would get choked. I would lay down and feel like I was being suffocated. And we went through trying to, for 8 years, trying to shrink the mass to where I didn't have to have it removed. But in 2009, I ended up having the mass removed on the right side of my whole thyroid on the right side, which I still have just my left thyroid at this point.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
So on for that, so for the rest of my life, I have to be on the thyroid medicine to regulate my thyroid, since I just have one left side of my thyroid.
And how long was it, Leesa, when you started LDN?
I started in March of this year, so March of 2017.
Okay. So,
and
like
when I started
9 months?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been on LDN for 9 months. Before that, if you look up hypothyroidism, everything that goes with that, with the Epstein-Barr, I had increased anxiety that I'd never had before. The thought of you just couldn't get up and function. The next morning I would wake up and I had nerve endings that were on the top of my skin that were, I just felt like I'd been in the freezer, that were cool nerve endings that were cool. I had really bad leg cramps, restless leg syndrome starting, and they were looking at maybe some rheumatoid arthritis. So just the autoimmune finally taking over, trying to, my body fighting it off to where I didn't have any ability to work out. I would try to work out to lose weight because I really needed to lose weight, but then it was either functioning and working and, raising 2 kids or working out. I couldn't do both because I didn't have the ability to do both.
Mm-hmm.
So in March, I started taking LDN. April started feeling, a little bit better. They upped my dose on, and each month we're upping my dose by the 0.5 for the LDN, and I'm currently on 4.5 milligrams, and I've been on that for probably about 3 months now. My thyroid is now regulated. I take a natural thyroid medication called WP thyroid, and this is the first time I've been on the same dose for 6 months now, which is the first time for the whole time that they found my deal since I was 21, found my thyroid problem, that they have not changed my thyroid or tried to regulate it, or it's been up and down, up and down. It's constantly stayed in the middle of where your thyroid levels should be.
Wow. So if you had to rate your quality of life on a score of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, before you started LDN, what would it have been?
I would say on most days, I would say probably a 2, to where I was just struggling to get up every morning. And the only reason I was doing that is because, you had 2 kids that were relying on you all the time to be there for you. So that's a good motivation to get up in the morning. But now I am walking and jogging 3 miles every day.
Oh, wow.
I go to the track every morning when my kids go to school. I work 4 days a week doing massage therapy. I have at least 6 clients a day. I am constantly busy and, able to work all day, run and jog the 3 miles in the morning, and then work on 6 people, massage 6 people, and then come home and play basketball with my kids and be outside. And
it's pretty amazing.
It is. My husband started wondering at the very first, because we had been through, this for so many years. We've been married for 17 years. And so I was very active before. and I continued to try to be active through that period of time. I just, you just get to a point where, like I said, I was just kind of existing. So my quality of life was not great. I forced myself to go through the process of life just to, like I said, for my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then now he said, I want whatever you're on, because he was like, what are you taking? Started questioning, what are you taking? It's just like a powerful drug that he was like, I want to go run with you now. So it's been a, extreme life change for me.
Wow. So what would you say your quality of life is like now on that score of 1 to 10?
I would say a 9. I'm continuing every day to get better and work on, getting better. I started feeling better, so I started exercising. So then on top of exercising, then started eating better. And up to this point, since October of last year, I started really, on that journey. But really starting in March, when I started, in April, started losing a little bit weight in May. And so up to this point, I've lost 58 pounds.
Goodness.
In
Well, congratulations.
a little over a year. Thank you. Yes. But I knew I needed to exercise to lose weight for cardio. But like I said, I could not do so because the pain that I was in my joints, and, just the being lethargic and not having the energy to do so, I couldn't, it was hard to work out.
Well, that's an absolutely amazing story. Very good. And how old did you say your children are now?
I have a 10-year-old that's in 4th grade, and I have that his name is Malachi, and then I have a little girl that's named Lily Grace, and she is in 1st grade, and she's 6.
Mm-hmm. Well, I should think they are amazed to have their mum be able to do so many things with them where you couldn't before.
Right, and that was where, I continued to say to, my doctors and my pharmacists and my husband was, I just want to be able to go out there and play basketball with my kids, or to go walk with them, to go on vacation and be able to, climb when we go to the Grand Canyon and be able to climb in and out of those paths instead of, y'all go ahead and I'm going to stay here because I just can't physically do that.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I mean, it's so inspirational, amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me today. And I hope that my story helps other people through their journey, because it is, you get to a point where after you go to multiple doctor after multiple doctor and they continue to tell you, there is something wrong, we just can't figure out, you start kind of feeling like maybe, there's not a good outlook for you or a good positive note that you can be on. And I mean, it really, taking LDN has really changed my life. And that's, all my friends and family are just amazed that in a year, or in the 9 months, where I've come from, where I've started, and then now where I am. So it's been really good.
Truly, truly amazing. This show is sponsored by our members who made donations. We'd like to give them a very big thank you. We have to cover the monthly costs of the radio station's software, bandwidth, phone lines and phone calls to be able to continue with the radio show. And thank you for listening. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.